traded with Tom the other night, and I was hoping he'd forget, but he didn't. But Carolyn did tell him to be prepared because I might forget. So it's always possible. Um, we've been studying a book that Loyal Salee had suggested, and it was with new Christians coming in or new people coming in to have these lessons with them. But these lessons are a reminder of us. I've really learned a lot from these. And we did one the other day that was unspotted from the world. And it started out, worldliness is one of the greatest problems facing the Lord's church today. No topic is of greater importance. And worldliness doesn't just come just all at once. Sometimes it just sneaks up on us, just a little at a time. James 1:27 was pure religion and undefiled before God. Was to visit the fatherless, the widows and the orphans, and also to keep himself unspotted from the world. And sometimes that is the hard thing to do. We have to strive to do that. We have to work at that. And as we was doing this, I was reminded of an instance that happened to me personally, because I know me better than anybody. So I know those times when I have messed up. And I remember I was taking my daughter to school one time, and she was in a middle school. And me being the cool dad that I was taking her, and I turned the music on to the station that had the kind of music that she would like to listen to, what the kids were listening to then. And the song came on that, I'd heard this song several times. And I liked the melody, I liked the music, and I even knew some of the words. So, as I was going down the road, I thought, well, I'll sing along with this. And then I hear Dad, and I said, what? Did you know what that song's about? And I said, I ain't got any idea. I knew just enough. The melody drew me in. And, just a few of those words drew me in. And after hearing that song, I didn't sing that song anymore. I didn't need to listen to that song. And I sure didn't need to sing that song. And I think that's how worldliness sneaks up on us. Just a little at a time. There's places that, I wouldn't go there. I know better than go there. But then maybe sometimes we end up someplace and we look and it's like, this is not where I need to be. There's also there was a quote in here that I'd never heard before and I really liked. And we live in the world and all this stuff is around us. We're not out of the world. We live here in the world. And it said, we must live in the world, but not like the world. It's okay for a ship to be in the water, but you can't let the water in the ship. Likewise, we must keep worldliness out of our lives. No matter how wicked the world becomes, it can be done with God's help. Through studying to see what we should abstain from, to see what we should be doing and not doing, God helps us there. And we need to work at that, to keep the world out. And it ended with, there are only two choices, God or the world. Which have you chosen? And Joshua 24:15, a lot of us have it as I go out of the house. Tammy's sister got it for us when we got married. It says, choose you this day whom you will serve. But for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. And sometimes we're like, this means that, on Sunday morning we're going to the services. But also it means, as Danny said, through the week, every day. And we need to always guard against worldliness and not be as the world, but be as God, be as godly, to be Christ-like. If you're here tonight and you're not a Christian, you have that opportunity. If you've heard and you believe and you're willing to make that confession that, I believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God, and willing to repent, turn from sin, turn to God, turn to Christ. There's water to be baptized and to start, to become a Christian. But then that's when the work begins. If we've fallen away, we have that avenue of prayer to come back. And if there's anyone here that has any need whatsoever, just come forward and let us know as we stand and sing.